Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Content Crowd. I'm Trevor Grimes, and this is a podcast where we explore what makes content resonate, from creative habits to point of view shifts to behind the scene breakdowns, so that listeners can stop mimicking others and start making something that matters. This is a very special episode. Actually, the next few episodes are going to be very special because they won't have any guests. And I know what you're saying, like, why is that special? Well, it's special because these are pre-recorded episodes that I did before I went on paternity leave. So I'm currently on paternity leave. Me and my wife welcomed our second child. So that is where I currently am. So I'm not doing any actual live streams, but I also don't want you guys to go without your usual content. So I am here recording a few episodes to take up, the space while I'm out. And before we get started, I'd like to remind everybody that this podcast is sponsored by Scrappy ABM. Scrappy ABM helps build repeatable account-based plays and teaches you how to own them so that you can bring ABM in-house when you're ready. Go to scrappyabm.com to find out more. So for this episode, what I'm going to be doing is I'm not doing like a greatest hits kind of thing. I'm actually just going to be sort of interviewing myself and asking myself the questions I typically ask the guests. And I will actually bring in some of the things that I've learned from the other guests that have now sort of swayed how I think about some of these things. Because part of this has been I've learned a lot and got new opinions and new point of views, like I mentioned in the intro, point of view shifts that I now have. And so there are a lot of new things and different ways that I think about content now. So let's just jump right into it. I should also mention that at the end of this, I'm going to give you guys like a free questionnaire template to help you basically create podcast questions. And I know that you may not want to start a podcast, but what this is going to be super helpful for is doing something like this. So much of content creation is stalled because people just don't know what to write about or don't know how to talk about what they want to talk about. And so interviewing yourself in this kind of fashion actually helps you think of a lot of different ideas. So I'm going to give you guys a free questionnaire builder to help you guys write questions so that you can interview yourself and create content based on your answers. If you want to grab that freebie, it's going to be in the description of the episode, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Trevor Grimes on LinkedIn, and send me a DM and I will send it over to you. So the first question that I always ask is, what is your current role and how do you describe what you do at parties? And every time I ask this question, I feel like kind of stupid because I feel like it's such a basic thing to say how you describe what you do at parties, because people maybe don't go to parties. Like, I don't go to parties. I don't really go anywhere where I would have to describe what I do. However, I was walking around with my neighbor the other day. We were walking our kids and our dogs around the neighborhood, and we started talking about what we did. And so I did have to describe it then. So I think that's how I'm going to think about it, is how can I describe it to somebody who I'm meeting for the first time? So it's kind of like difficult. I feel like the audience listening kind of knows what content strategy is, what content creation is, what content marketing is. And so it's kind of like weird to have to describe it. If I'm describing it to somebody who doesn't know, I usually just kind of focus on that I write copy. I do copywriting for software businesses. That seems like the easiest thing to do it. So B2B SaaS, and if they don't know what B2B is, it's business to business, and SaaS is software as a solution. So I just say typically software companies, and I write content for them. So because people still, for some reason, think when I talk about content strategy, they think that, or content creation, they think it's like all design, and they're like, oh, so you design like billboards or you make like billboards? And it's like, not really. I mean, writing ad copy for a billboard is something I've done in the past, but typically it's not something that I do now, because software companies are not always advertising on billboards. So I think what makes my approach unique is that I look beyond just like the strategy. I'm super blessed to work where I work now, where me and the person in charge of operations and the person's in charge of marketing, we all kind of like dip into each other's jobs a little bit without stepping on anybody's toes. And that's a lot of fun because it helps us learn more about what we're doing. And like, when it comes to the content strategy part and the writing part, like, sure, I'm doing all that, but it has to be distributed in some way. And so I need marketing and ops to help me distribute the content and make sure it's going to the right person. But I also need to have the understanding myself of who is this actually supposed to go to? And is this even going to the right people? So a big part of that is not just taking, an objective or taking a task list and just writing content for the sake of writing it for this particular audience. Maybe the content that the company has been creating in the past has been for the wrong audience, or maybe there's like a side to their business that they're not talking about enough. And so a lot of that involves looking at what their ICPs are or their personas are, and making sure that they align with the content that they already have, and that they've been creating it in the correct way. And also that they understand the content that they've been creating in the past and whether it aligns or not. I think that's a big one. I think that's one that a lot of people skip out on, is that just because somebody has been creating content in the past for a certain audience doesn't necessarily mean that they were focusing on the right parts of it, or that they were even writing the correct content for that audience. And sometimes you have to have that conversation of like, in the past, you've created this type of content and you said these things. But when we talk about your ICP, it doesn't really seem that they actually struggle with these problems, or they're not actually looking for this kind of solution. And sometimes you have to have that conversation and realize that all of their content has been aimed at the wrong person or aimed at the wrong place. And that's a conversation to be had. And how can we fix that? How can we recycle and adapt the previous content? Or how can we, do we have to scrap everything and start over? And usually you try to find how can we tweak and make things work versus starting completely over, because I don't want to always start over. My biggest thing is that I would like to help them take the content that they already have and expand upon it and stretch it out as much as possible. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have a person in-house creating content, or even if you do, the amount of content that they can create is limited by how many hours they're working and how many other objectives that they're working on. And so if you have to say, hey, all of these web pages and these blogs and these emails are completely wrong and we have to start from scratch, like that's going to put a hurting on them. So my biggest goal is to always take those things and be like, these are close, but we can tweak a few things and make it worth the squeeze and make it actually make sense the audience is supposed to go to. So I don't know how I got down this rabbit hole, but I would just say that's a pretty good content tip. Maybe I should throw that out there as a content tip, that make sure that as you're writing that you're recentering every so often, and you find things are getting off the rails, or they're getting off center, find out what you need to do to kind of course correct and get back on there. So the next question I asked guests is what philosophy or rule you swear by when it comes to creating content, even if it's unpopular. I think coming into this, I had a different mindset about a lot of things. My original mindset was just start creating, even if it's sloppy, even if it's ugly, even if it is not the best looking. But talking with one of my guests, Tyler, a few weeks ago, he said that that's okay, but at some point you have to hit a standard and you have to keep doing that standard. And I think that really changed my mind on a lot of things, because like if you're sending emails and you're a salesperson and you want to include a video, including like a cell phone video is like totally fine. Like record yourself or use Loom and like send it over if you're trying to like explain something or like do a quick demo or something like that. But when it comes to the actual videos that are on like web pages or included in like a bigger part of the promotion, there needs to be a bit of quality there. And Tyler recommended that you find like UGC, you find like a talent for this and pay them to create those videos. And so that their mic is better, the quality is better. They're reading off a teleprompter, but you can't tell, and stick with that quality throughout. Just get, comfortable with paying somebody to do that and have the budget allocated for that. And so I think I agree with that on a lot of points. Like at some point you need to look like if you're a company that can afford to pay for it, or if you're a company that charges a certain amount, the quality of those kind of things should match. But also on the flip side, I think like, yes, just get started, even if it is ugly, but spend a little bit of time to make it not so ugly. For example, if you are creating a video for your webpage and you're sitting at like, your desk and you're kind of like looking down and you have this weird like from below angle, or if you are creating it sitting at, you're working at home and you're sitting at your kitchen table and you have like your kitchen decor in the background, or if there's a lot of echo, you're using like you're using your laptop mic or your laptop webcam or whatever. Yeah, those things I think are the kind of dirty, like sloppy content we shouldn't be creating. We should take a little bit of time to correct those things. And I'm not saying you go out and you buy a brand new DSLR and you go buy a $100 or $200 microphone, but there are things that you can do to make that better. So for example, setting up the environment for recording. Now, if maybe your office you don't have a good background in your office, or you share an office, or you work from home, like there are places that you can go to do that. And you may just have to just decide that you need to go somewhere and batch record something. I know some places have co-working spaces, but also you can find like a quiet room in a library that you can borrow, like a classroom at a library that you could go to and record those things, or just, find the quietest place in your office. So I used to make videos at an office, and we had an empty office that I would go into, and that's where I would record everything. Just because there was nothing like on the walls, and there wasn't like a lot of commotion. It was just an easy place to do that. But even in your own house, it may just come down to you just need to find a blank wall somewhere with nothing distracting in the background so that you can record it. And if you're going to use a virtual background, then spend a little money to get a ring light or something, because the virtual backgrounds look so bad when you don't have good lighting. I mean, videos look kind of bad anyway. We don't have good lighting, but when the virtual background is trying to like crop you out, it just doesn't look good when you don't have good lighting. I think if you're going to make any kind of videos, you're better off to find just a blank wall somewhere or batch recording at like a co-working space or a library than you are trying to use a virtual background. Because again, if you don't have good camera quality, you don't have good lighting, like the virtual background is not doing a lot of work for you. It's hurting you more than just having a messy office background. And when it comes to like cameras, if you can definitely use your laptop webcam, but just find a way to lift it up so that it's pointing either straight at you or slightly above, down on you. We don't want to do this below from below action. I mean, just grab a few books, grab something that you can use to stack it up a little bit if you don't have like a laptop like riser, so that the camera is coming from above and it's not coming from below. And then in terms of like microphones, I mean, you can buy cheap lapel microphones on Amazon, for less than $30. They don't sound the best, but they definitely sound better than your typical laptop microphone that is picking up a lot of desk noise and echoing and a lot of like clicking and moving around. Like, I think that is very much distracting. Bad audio, I think, is more distracting than bad video. People can kind of forgive bad video, but bad audio is probably one of the worst things. So, if you're going to start making more videos, and you're going to be consistent, and you're going to make videos for the website or send them in emails or whatever, like that might be the place to invest a little bit in just like a cheaper microphone that you can use. Like the newer brand microphone on Amazon is a really good dynamic microphone that is like $30. We can make those work. Even this microphone here that I have, I think like brand new, it was like 120 or 150 maybe, but I found it used for cheaper, and it works great. But the biggest thing is even if you're not going to upgrade the camera, upgrade the mic at all, find ways to dampen the sound as much as possible. You got to get a little bit creative. I used to have my desk at my old house in a closet. I made the desk fit into the closet, so at the end of the day I could kind of close the door and I could forget about my work. But what I had on each side of my desk was some jackets and some coats hanging up, and those provided like some absolutely like really good sound dampening. And it was just it didn't cost anything. It was stuff I already had. And honestly, if you go watch videos of people online, like recording voiceover stuff, or you see bands a lot of times recording in their home studios or recording during the pandemic, they just were in their closets recording and like recording the audio, because having your shirts and stuff hanging up actually provides a lot of sound dampening. So I don't know how you recreate that necessarily at your desk. I mean, maybe you just find a way to hang a jacket up, or hang, some sweaters up, or hang a rug on the wall behind you. Like, I know that's getting a little extreme, but those are little things that are very cost efficient and cost almost nothing, depending on what you already have at hand. Like, these are DIY things that you can do that will make your video sound better, your video look better, and it'll make you look more professional. If you're asking for these high prices or premium prices for your product or service or whatever, you're going to have the stuff to follow. Your videos, your pitches need to look high quality. So that would be sort of the philosophy that I swear by, is that just start putting stuff out there. Let it be sloppy and messy and rough, but take a few seconds to find little ways to improve while you're doing it. Or if you have a really important email to send out that you're including a video in, I think it's worth taking the hour to sort of figure out, how can I make this video look a little bit better, a little bit brighter, sound better? What are those things I can do? I did write down that previously my sort of rule or philosophy was, and this actually might go into the last question too, which is the hill I'll die on. But I think consistency doesn't mean constant, doesn't mean every day. It just means committed and that you're still showing up. I think a lot of people think that when we talk about consistently creating content, consistently doing these things, that you're showing up every day and posting every day or posting multiple times a day. And that only works if you can consistently do that and you can commit to doing that. So I think that's another thing to think about when it comes to creating content. If you can commit to posting 3 times a week, that's awesome. If you can commit to posting 4, that's great. If you can commit to posting multiple times a day, that's also good. But it's the consistency just means committed. It doesn't mean you absolutely have to post every single day at a certain time. It just means showing up. For example, this podcast is only once a week. I just show up wearing the same thing, talking about the same thing, and that's it. That is my consistency. It's only one time a week, and it's been pretty fruitful. Next question I ask is, let's talk about a time something flopped and what did you learn? And so this is typically a campaign or just like a piece of content that fell flat. I don't know that I've worked on like too many really big pieces of content within like really large campaigns that I think that we spent like months on and then it only flopped. I mean, I think my best example is like almost everything else that I've ever created in some way has flopped. Like not everything that you create is going to go viral or going to get big hits and likes and all those things. Like it's almost everything you create is kind of a flop in a way. And actually, I guess I could use an example of recently I was really trying to push this like content offer like template that I put together. It's like a beta offer template. And for like 2 weeks, I posted twice a day talking about this thing. And then at the end of the week, end of the second week, I posted like, here's how to write a really good offer. Like, here's what it looks like. If you want to grab like my beta offer template, comment down below and I'll send it to you. I was trying to do one of those things. And for some reason, just that post, all the my other posts were doing really well. Just that one did really bad. And I don't know if it's because that I put comment in there and that just made like LinkedIn, like, like throttle it. I don't really know. I hate blaming stuff on the algorithm, and I'm not really blaming stuff on the algorithm, but like, it's just weird that all my other posts were doing super well. Like I'm looking at it now, like I posted it had 56 impressions, while every post leading up to that had, multiple hundreds, 543 impressions, 200 and something impressions. A lot of them just had so many like impressions, and like the final post that was supposed to do carrying all of it got less than 100. So I don't know. I would say that flopped. I don't know why yet. I need to study that and get back into it because I want to promote this content offer, this content, like beta offer that I was putting together, but it just, it didn't work. And I don't know why. So, hey, if you're listening to this, go find me on LinkedIn and ask for the beta offer and I will send it to you, because for some reason, no one else really liked it. I even included a graphic, like, and hoping that like the image would pull some people in, but maybe I should move away from, maybe I shouldn't use the photo. We'll see. So I'd say that kind of flopped. What did I learn? I don't know what I've learned yet. I don't think it's timing or messaging tweaks. I honestly think it's just, I think it actually was like the image for some reason. Maybe it's just like something about it. Maybe it was too long. Like I'm looking at it now, it's pretty long. Like maybe I should break this into a few different posts. I think there's a lot of different things to tweak here. I haven't really learned what went wrong yet, but I'm going to try it again when I come back to work and do some tweaks. Do a shorter message. Don't do an image. Try one with an image, without an image. I don't know. I'll do both, but I'll let you guys know what I learn after that. The next question is a piece of content or a campaign that you're really proud of. Again, I don't think I have like necessarily like a campaign. I will say a few pieces of content that I've written in the form of emails that I'm really proud of are emails where the call to action is asking for somebody to reply to the email or like send you an email. I think that tactic is highly overlooked. I don't think people are doing it enough, especially in the B2B space. It's all about like, here's the value. Okay, let's get on a call. Or, hey, you downloaded this. Can we do a demo? Do you want a demo? Like that's the standard, it seems like. And I really like just asking people to reply, like, especially for like webinar promos, like ask people to, as you're promoting the webinar, ask people to reply and send you questions that they want to have answered during the webinar. Like people respond to that and people will reply to that. But yeah, I've sent out emails on behalf of clients asking people to respond to ask a question, or hey, if you have any questions or if this doesn't make sense or whatever, like just reply to this email. I answer all my emails, get back with me. And people do. And I think that's kind of crazy and a little unheard of. So I'm definitely say that tactic I am pretty proud of, because again, I think people just kind of overlook that and they don't think about asking somebody to respond to an email versus like every email doesn't have to be schedule a call, schedule a demo, like watch this, like whatever. Sometimes it can just be like, hey, reply to this email if you have any questions or if you want to talk about it. I'd love to like run you through some real examples, or I'd love to send over like a better case study or a better use case or some more use case examples if these don't make sense. I think that's like underutilized. I'm sure plenty of people are doing it, but I don't see anybody doing it on my end until I recommend it, or until I like put it in something and we implement it. So I just think that's one of those things that, yeah, we should do more, which is asking people to reply to the email, like be more human. And the final question that I ask every guest is one hill you'll die on when it comes to content. I think I kind of covered it earlier, which was like just create and be, even if it's a little sloppy, it's a little dirty, like just get it out there. And I also think just make it as easy on yourself as possible. Maybe I could push a little bit further, like make it as easy on yourself as possible. Like doing this podcast is pretty easy. I hop on here live once a week, talk through it. I do have a team that edits it now thank you, Scrappy ABM, for sponsoring this podcast. But before that, I wasn't editing anything. I was just throwing it up, like putting the footage on YouTube. I'm using Restream, and Restream like makes you some generated clips, and you can use like Opus as a free version. There's a lot of other things you can use, but like just to generate a few clips for me to post on like LinkedIn and stuff. But other than that, like it's super easy. I hop on here, I ask people questions, I interview people that are more talented and smarter than I am, and I ask them questions and they give great advice, and we say, thank you, have a great day. And that's it. We hang up, and that's kind of it. And so I think like, yeah, create more content, just do it. Don't worry about perfection. Don't worry about it looking and sounding a certain way, with the caveat that if your audio is terrible and it's echoey and people can't hear you well, and we've all been on webinars with people like that, or we've had calls with people where it's like, super echoey, you can't hear anything they're saying. I think that's kind of rude. I will say, I think if you know that your audio is super bad and you're not doing something like you're getting headphones or like a better mic or something, like that's kind of rude, because I've definitely been on calls with people where I'm like listening as hard as I can and struggling to understand what they're saying because their audio is so bad. But anyway, do little things to make your audio sound better, to make your video sound better. You don't have to get a new camera. You can actually just get a cheap ring light to go in your office. I mean, they sell these things at Walmart now. Like you don't have to even like go far to find these things, but slowly upgrade, get a better mic when you can, get better lighting when you can, but do these things to make your content look just slightly better, because it's super attainable. It's super cheap. It's not a hard thing to do anymore. So I say that's the hill I would die on, is create content, just put it out there, be messy and sloppy with it, but take a little bit of time to make it a little bit more enjoyable and slowly upgrade as you go. Well, that's going to be it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my first solo episode. I know it wasn't as interesting as listening to somebody else talk, but hey, maybe you guys learned something from me. Typically, I don't talk at all. I'm listening to other people. But today we talked to just me, and I hope you guys learned something. Don't forget to check the show notes for the free PDF to help you come up with interview questions so you can interview yourself or interview somebody else if you want to start a podcast. For some reason you can't find it in the show notes, come find me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is also in the show notes, but you can also just find me on LinkedIn, Trevor Grimes. Send me a DM, say you want the freebie, and I'll send it over. All right, guys, we'll talk at you next week. Have a great day.